Hey, welcome to Table Talk, Winepress's bite-sized Bible chats for our community groups. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Kyra, and each episode we're going to set the table for great conversation so you can unpack the gold together around the table.
That's exactly right. So make sure you grab this week's study guide. It has discussion questions you can chat about with your group and your family. It has some prayer and worship prompts, and also extra Bible study tools so you can dive a bit deeper.
Let's jump in. Hello, Caleb.
Hey, Kyra.
Welcome to another Table Talk.
We are back for another Table Talk as we are extending the kingdom and fixing our eyes.
Yes, that's
on
right.
Jesus. Last time we talked about that concept of fixing our eyes on Jesus so that the kingdom grows in us and pours out through us and we extend it. So if you haven't heard it, go back and listen because we're going to keep exploring that concept today, what it is to be ambassadors of the kingdom. And we're going to be looking at a specific practical sort of way that we do that specifically in our finances. For anyone tracking along with Sundays at Winepress, Pastor Arthur has been preaching a series talking specifically about this, about finances. And so we want to just dive into it a little bit as community groups. And we thought this would be a great space for us to explore what he's been preaching about and talk a bit practically about how we actually live that out and what it looks like for us, especially in that context of what we've been talking about being ambassadors of the kingdom and extending his kingdom. Yeah,
it's good. Let's do it.
It's good. All right. Let's start with the scripture. Pastor Arthur's been using this. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. Jesus is talking about specifically money. I think it's so interesting. I think Pastor Arthur mentioned this, that like Jesus talks more about money than he does about heaven.
Yeah.
That's referenced. Jesus has a lot to say about money. So it's really good for us to listen to and explore together. He says that no one can serve two masters. He'll either hate the one and love the other, or he'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. Or literally, it's translated money. It says you cannot serve God and mammon, which was sort of a personification they had of like money and the system of like that world system of getting money, getting more, that thing. Jesus is saying to them, you cannot serve both. You can't have two masters. You got to choose one. You love one and hate the other. These are not congruent. You cannot serve both of them at the same time. And I was thinking about this concept very similar to what we've been talking about in these table talks about being an ambassador. If you are an ambassador to a foreign land, you are still under the authority and representing the land you came from. You know, if as an Australian, if I'm sent as an ambassador to pick a country for me. America. There you go. I still am under the authority and represent my leadership in Australia. Do you know what I mean? I still honor them. I still represent them. I still serve them. If I'm sent to America as an ambassador, I don't then bow to their leadership and say, this is my way of life. This is my culture. This is what I do. I still actually serve Australia, but I would be bringing Australian culture to where I am. Jesus is saying the same here. He's saying you live in a world where the God of this world is mammon, money. It's that get more money, get more, strive to have more for yourself, look after yourself, be protective, be greedy, be anxious about what you've got, look after it, strive for more. And he's like, you cannot serve that master and God. Yeah. They're incongruent. He's like, you are ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven. This is what we've been talking about. Your life, your home is an embassy of heaven. So when it comes to money, you have to go, your upline is to God. Yeah. You can't let that God of this world, God of chasing after money, pursuing that, you can't let that become your God. Yeah. You got to choose one or the other. Yeah. Because if you get in the flow of the world, that's what it is. You know, you look at the culture around us, obviously back then, 2,000 years ago, and today it is that get more, strive for more.
Seek for self, just accumulate as much as you can.
Yeah, never have enough, always be anxious, always be stressed. And so that's what we want to talk about, I guess, is that concept of what it looks like for us to be ambassadors in this space. Like, so this is what Pastor Arthur's been preaching to. And And I think it would be great to explore that a bit. And I guess the first thing Jesus says then, the very next verse, he says, all right, so if you can't serve God and money. If you're going to serve God now, I'm going to give you some instructions. He says, therefore, I tell you, I instruct you, do not be anxious about your life. How cool is that? The first thing he says.
Yeah.
If you're going to serve God in your money, don't be anxious.
Yeah.
Do not be anxious about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink, about your body, what you'll put on. He's saying, don't worry. Do not let anxiety come in about all the material possession things, because that will sap your strength. Yeah. That will pull you away from being able to be an ambassador of heaven.
Yeah. I think too, it tells us that, if we're serving the God of mammon, money, accumulating stuff, we're going to be anxious.
Yep, absolutely.
But if we want to get rid of anxiety, serve God and go after his ways, then we don't need to be anxious.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even, you don't need to be anxious, and you're going to have to fight against it. You're going to have to make a choice.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to be anxious about it. You're going to feel the pressure to be, looking after your own security and, how will I pay this bill and that bill and do this and that. There's going to be things that come against that.
Absolutely.
All the time. But the choice is not to be anxious.
And we're going to jump ahead. And that sounds simplistic, but we're going to unpack some of that a bit. And, we've got only a few minutes here. We're not going to be able to unpack the whole thing. Pastor Arthur's been preaching to this a lot. But Matthew 6:33. So this is just a few verses later in the end. He's saying, don't be anxious about all this stuff. Don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious. He keeps saying it. But then he says, but seek first the kingdom. So remember, we are the ambassadors of the kingdom. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And then what an amazing promise this is. And then all these things.
Yeah. All the things that you would be tempted to be worried about,
he'll look after that. He will take care of that. Now, let's be clear. That doesn't mean just be passive and just sit around saying, I don't need to work. I just seek the kingdom. I just pray. There's a whole lot of wisdom that God has given you in his word, and he's going to give you and direct you for how to live this out and how to be an ambassador of heaven's kingdom in this world. Yeah. He will give you wisdom. He will give you good direction. Pastor Arthur's been preaching to some of that. We're not going to have time to rehash all that. Yeah. But the promise is, as we seek him and trust him, what he wants to do is actually say, don't stress about that stuff.
Yeah.
Look to me, follow me, and I will look after it.
Yeah.
And I'll provide it. Because one of the amazing things we see with God is, like we talked about in the last one, as ambassadors, as an embassy of heaven, what he actually wants to do is not just make us a little embassy where our lives are all nice and neat and looked after, but he wants us to be his agents, taking that life of heaven to the world around us. That's what we've been talking about, extending his kingdom. We talked about that picture that Isaiah has of gardens in the desert, of our lives being places where it's like God blesses us and looks after us, just financially, our home, our relationships, our marriage, our family, our work, our mental well-being, our physical well-being, all these things. He said, I want you to become an embassy of heaven, where then you're my agents taking that into the world around you. That's his heart for us. And that's his heart for us in this space with money. He says, if you flow in my wisdom, if you get my heart in you, obviously that's the beginning. It said there, you can't seek both God and mammon. It's about your heart. If your heart is after me, if you don't let your heart get anxious following those things, but you seek me, you seek my kingdom, you go after my ways and my wisdom, I want to not just look after you, but I want to make you spread the life of heaven around you. How many times does the Bible say for us to look after, to be the ones who are blessing the poor, the widow, the orphan? I don't know the number, but it's a lot. It's all through. God makes it so clear that the poor, the needy, the widow, the orphan, we are the ones with the responsibility to take the life of heaven and to bring it to them. But we can't do that if we are the poor, the widow, and the orphan. He said, we're the bride of Christ. We are adopted as sons and daughters into his family. And now we're not the poor, we're the blessed. He says, seek first the kingdom of God. All these things will be added to you. He wants to look after those things in us so that we can be the ones to pour that through us. Do you want to read that scripture quickly, Kyra, or speak to that a bit? Yeah.
So I love that. Firstly, in just speaking to that, looking after the widow, the poor, the sojourner. In Leviticus, it talks about when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap it right up to its edge. Neither you shall gather the gleanings of your harvest, and you shall not strip your vineyard bare, or gather the fallen grapes from your vineyard. You'll leave them for the poor and for the sojourner. I am the Lord your God. And so there's this constant narrative through God talking to his people, that when he blesses them, he's saying this is not just for you. It's that concept of the seed growing in us and the tree being a place where birds can come and nest that we talked about in the last podcast. But people being able to get what they need from God through us, his representatives, his ambassadors, bringing the kingdom. The kingdom is what provides for their needs. It's God working in us. So as he provides for us, he's actually providing beyond us to those who are in need.
I love that picture it has there. It's like, phrase we often use out of that is don't over harvest.
Yeah.
He's saying when your harvest, with them, they're farming society, when you have your harvest, he's like, I'll bless it.
Yeah.
But don't get every last scrap for yourself. That's a mammon thing.
Yeah.
That's a world money system.
Self-accumulating.
Scrounge every dollar you can. Protect yourself. He's like, he specifically says something. He's like, I will bless you, but don't over harvest it.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to leave margin, leave stuff here, leave margin to be a blessing. Yeah. So that the widow, the sojourner, the poor can come and be blessed through you. Yeah. That's a good practical principle.
Yeah.
We might not have harvests. What we do, we're growing strawberries. Strawberry.
Yes.
We might have one strawberry out of this year's harvest.
And I think it's already been eaten by snails. So
we didn't over harvest, that's for sure. But financially, don't over harvest.
Don't accumulate and protect every bit of your finance.
Yeah.
But let God's wisdom show you where to use
Be generous.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
Be generous.
And again, we're not saying just be stupid. We're saying get godly wisdom.
Yeah.
Budget well, do those things, but don't be anxious and protect and guard everything. Let God bless you and show him that through you, you can be a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. Another verse I wanted to reference was from Deuteronomy 15. And there it talks about, you shall give freely and your heart shall not be grudging when you give to him. Because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all that you undertake. For there will never cease to be poor in the land. So therefore I'm commanding you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy and to the poor in your land. And it's this picture. God blesses his people not for the purpose of them just accumulating their own wealth and their own kingdom, but this is how he is spreading his kingdom. So he is pouring into you so that you then have the means to take care of the poor.
You could almost say to extend the kingdom.
To extend the kingdom, exactly. This is a part of this. God cares about our finances as much as he cares about any other aspect of the kingdom. And I mean, you look at how many times he's talked about it. So
exactly,
this is a constant narrative. He is pouring things into us so that we can be like that tree that birds can come and nest in. Exactly.
Can I give two more scriptures to give a really cool example of this? And both actually say the same thing. So one is in, I'll quickly read the first one in Genesis 12:2. So this is God's instruction to Abraham when he's telling him to leave his home and to take a step of faith and follow. God says to tell him to go, and he says, I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you, make your name great, so you will be a blessing. I'll bless those who bless you, dishonor those who dishonor you. But he specifically says, I will bless you and make your name great, so you will be a blessing. So notice the two things there. He said, I want to bless you and make you a blessing. Zechariah 8, again, God says to them, this is talking to the remnant coming back, whole backstory there, but he says, and I will call, verse 13, he says, you've been a byword of cursing among the nations, but O house of Israel, I will save you, and you shall be a blessing. Both of those scriptures in the ESV, in a lot of translations, it's translated be a blessing. The literal Hebrew, and you can read some commentaries, it literally actually says you will be the blessing. Which to us in English often doesn't make a lot of sense. So we often translate it be a blessing. But a few translations sort of grapple with that because it doesn't actually say be a blessing. It actually says you will be the blessing. The NLT translates that, the way it tries to describe what it feels is saying there. Instead of saying you will be a blessing, it says you will be a symbol and a source of blessing. This is a really cool picture of that image of the tree that Kyra was talking about. It's like God is saying, I want to pour my blessing into you because you are my ambassadors. You are my embassy. You are my representatives of the kingdom of heaven on earth. So I want your life to represent the blessing, to be a symbol of the blessing. That means his blessing in your relationships, your marriage, your family. You know, like Pastor Arthur's talked about, when we get aligned with him, that blessing can pour in. So your life literally becomes the blessing. People look at you and say, wow, that's the blessing. You know, I want people to look at our family and say, look at the blessing of God. But that doesn't mean we've just stored it up for ourselves. It's the opposite. It's that sense where he blesses us, so the blessing can be so evident in us, and we become a source of blessing that just pours through us. That he can blesses us to pour through us. Constantly through the word, we see that is his narrative. That is his heart. And that is the heart of being an embassy, an ambassador of heaven, that our homes, our lives, our finances become a place that represent heaven, where people look at that and they say, man, I see the kingdom. I see the blessing. And it pours through us, that the poor, the needy, the broken, our local community, our neighbors, our families, our church, whatever it is, are blessed because it's pouring through us. Because we're ambassadors of that heartbeat of heaven.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, that sums it up nicely.
Awesome. There's a whole lot of practical stuff, obviously, and Pastor Arthur's been preaching to some of this, so we might leave the podcast here for now. But it would be great in your community groups, talk about this concept of, firstly, what it is to be an ambassador, living for the kingdom of heaven, not the kingdom of money, that sense of you can't serve two masters. But then what it looks like to be blessed, to be a blessing, to be the ones that God is pouring into, to pour through us. And then you can talk about some of the practical elements of that, how we actually live that out, how we get godly wisdom, how we live with good margin, how we budget well. You know, Pastor Arthur's been talking about that 10-10-80 rule, which are, you know, concepts for how we can actually practically live that out. Tithing, saving, living with generosity, those sort of things. Too much to talk to in one podcast. But let that inspire you. Build that picture of being an embassy. I love that phrase in the NLT, a symbol and a source. What would it look like for your life, for your family, for your home, for your comm group, to be a symbol and a source of God's blessing? That's so cool.
Be blessed. We'll see you